Hello. Creating a creative classroom. This is especially for my tribe, the teachers. I've been in the business of higher education for nearly 4 decades. I taught at collegiate level, did a lot of research, went to make policies at the national level, shape the national accreditation process. I don't say all these things as a matter of my achievement. It's a bit of an embarrassment for me to say that here, because if you ask me, one single factor that went to ruin creativity in our society, I would unhesitantly say that is the educational system. That's where we are. More you remain in the system, more you lose your creativity. Even I used to joke, if you just come to the terminal stage of education, even you develop a drooping shoulder or a hunch, your confidence level goes. So what to do? I think that the reform has to really start with the classroom. If you don't create a creative classroom, then I think we are not going to really salvage the situation ever. Let me recollect for you what we really call as creativity. All these psychologists would agree, or all the theories of psychology would converge on 4 important factors: the creative personality, the creative process or the habit of mind, the creative product, and of course, the very overarching principle, the creative press, or the atmosphere in which someone is left to learn. The classroom, the college, the subculture of an educational system. What actually spoils our classroom? There are 4 important things which we have to really understand. The first wrong assumption is we all think that the creativity is meant for a few people who are endowed specially. It is not so. Creativity is for all. We're all born with capacities to learn the creative skill. A skill that actually shapes our personality to be creative, and also our habit of thinking, way we think. These are 2 important things. If you don't have the right environment, then these 2 things don't come. I always try to cite one example. The very inspiring creators, creative people in history are the Wright brothers. You all know Wright brothers never went to college. They went to school. They never obtained a diploma, but they went into pursuing their passion to find something which they really wanted to find. How they could sustain? They just put in a lot of hard work, researched into what they were really wanted to really research into, and finally they came out with a fantastic theory of warping of the wings, the secret formula which they discovered first. Did they stop with that? No. They just went to really test what they really got as an idea, a new idea. And before an idea is put into practice or developed into something which is a kind of a useful product or useful function, then there is not going to be creativity. So what they did, they went to California, tried to test the theory which they just thought they have just found it as to be original and is the secret formula for flying. They just broke their limbs, fell down several times before they flew. The fixed wing aircraft was stabilized in air using a new aerodynamic principle. So that has come to remain with us for the next 100 or more years. When did Wilbur Wright get his diploma? As late as 1994, posthumously, during his 127th birth anniversary. What does this mean to you? Keep thinking on this. Let me come to the classroom now. How to transform these classrooms into something which is very creative. If the teacher is not committed to this idea of creating a classroom, then creativity is not going to really bloom here. What he has to do? The teacher has to necessarily give up his present role as an expert and become a facilitator in the classroom. The teacher is a facilitator. How? The first important thing is the teacher should empathize. Because teaching is one of the most sophisticated human activity, which is humane. If you don't empathize, you don't teach well. The students who enter your classroom are not perfect human beings. They are very vulnerable. If there are going to be 30 students in your classroom, each one will have his or her own level of vulnerability in terms of intellectual accomplishment, in terms of emotional well-being or strength, and even, for that matter, their social skills. By empathizing, it doesn't mean that you just all the time just be a helping professional. But one important thing a teacher can do as an empathizer is to stand by the student when he commits a mistake. This is a very important principle which opens up creativity in the minds of the students. And number two, you have to become a co-learner. Step out of your role as an expert. Teacher is no God. Maybe you are an expert, but classroom is not a place where you can demonstrate your expertise. You have to do something else with your expertise. So what do? You bring your syllabus. Often we consider the syllabus to be the very building block of a classroom, the brick and mortar. And we build classrooms which students cannot, we build the classrooms with these bricks and mortar and walls which the students cannot escape. No. Any syllabus, any course framework has three elements. One, many aspects of the syllabus which students himself or herself can master. There are elements, they might need your expert guidance. That's where you step in to just lead. Then comes the most important thing. The students come back to the class with their understanding, with their reflections, with their experience, and teach others. The students can become teachers They can do the experimental learning, experimental teaching, beg your pardon, experimental teaching in your class. Do we allow that? No. The third important thing is we have to challenge the students creatively. That's more important. See, a classroom is a kind of a knowledge acquiring place. There's so much of inbox thinking going in. You acquire so much of knowledge, working knowledge, expertise. But what for this? Unless the student is pushed out of the classroom to really take up the real life challenges, the real issues, the real problems which seek solution, they are not going to creatively engage. This means the teacher has to encourage or push the students out of the classroom. And that's where they go experiment and try to solve the real life problem and come back to your classroom with ideas which are much better than your ideas. You again become a co-learner with them. And finally, the teacher is also a person who cares for his students beyond the classroom. He is a mentor. He is more experienced. He is more professionally qualified. He has got better connections. What for all these endowments the teacher has? This is, in fact, to help the students. Spend time with your students individually and collectively outside, professionally helping them to grow, not to indulge, not to patronize, not to waste time. There can be a lot of play. But by mentoring, what I say is that help students to develop their professional vision and help them to really move towards a creative journey.